Hi everyone, it's Liam here from Rating the Races. The next set of columns we're going to look at are the trainer, jockey and sire statistics. We're grouping them all together because once you understand the trainer stats, the jockey stats and the sire stats are exactly the same except for the sire or the jockey. So let's look at the trainer stats. T7SR stands for the trainer's 7-day strike rate. So in the last 7 days, Hugo Palmer had a 22.2% strike rate with 2 winners from 9 runs. As always, hovering over the data gives you more information for all of the different statistics. T14 stands for the trainer's 14-day strike rate. So over the last 2 weeks, he had a 16% strike rate with 4 winners from 25 runners. T28 is his 28-day strike rate, so in the last 28 days he'd had 46 runners, of which 7 of them had won. This is a good indicator of trainers, for example, that are coming into form. You want to see the numbers going up. So Hugo Palmer's were. Another ones who were Charlie Fellows, who was very much in form. And you can also find trainers that are probably going out of form at the moment. So Ian Williams, for example, had been on the steady decline, hadn't had a winner in his last 15 runners in 7 days. David Simcock, he was only 1 from 5, so that wasn't a statistical. It wasn't statistically relevant, that number. But it's very interesting when you sometimes can spot trainers that are coming into form just at the right time for a race. If we move on, we go to the TSR, and this is simply the trainer's overall strike rate in all of the races that he's ever had a runner in our database. So Hugo Palmer has a 16.81% strike rate because he has 355 winners from 2,112 runners. Again, you can see all of the extra data, which can help you identify which trainers are underbet and overbet. For example, Roger Varian looks like he's very much overbet, and I believe Charlie Fellows, for example, is very much underbet. Green means they are, if the win AE is +1, so 1 or 0 greater, they are likely to have been underbet or ignored just because it's Charlie Fellows and not Mark Johnston. Mark Johnston, as you can see, he's not too bad considering it's Mark Johnston, but you'll get some trainers that are very much overbet. TCSR is the trainer's record at the course. So at Newcastle, Hugo Palmer was 23 from 112 with a 20.5% strike rate. Roger Varian was similarly very good at 22.66%, but as you can see on the win side, his horses were generally overbet. This is demonstrated by the win AE being just 0.91. Looking for a... here we go, here's one. Alan King's horses. It is a small data set, so you do have to take the data with a pinch of salt. He was 2 from 11 with a win AE of 1.74, which generally means that his horses had been ignored when they came to the all-weather at Newcastle. There's a better one, and it's Tom Dascombe's record. He's got a 7 from 52, so there's plenty of data there. A 13.4% strike rate with a 1.15 win AE. So his horses are very much underbet at Newcastle. Moving on to TTSR. This is the trainer on this type of race. This is more prevalent between flat and all-weather, and also hurdles and fences or chases. We can very quickly see that Hugo Palmer is quite good on the all-weather. Roger Varian similarly is also good on the all-weather, but you'll find some trainers. Dan Skelton has yet to have a winner on the all-weather in an all-weather race. He may have had a winner in an all-weather bumper, but not in a general all-weather race. Tim Easterby doesn't have many winners, but when he does win, they are largely overlooked in the betting. TDSR stands for Trainer Distance Strike Rate. This is not the trainer running over this distance. This is the horse running over this distance. I think it'd be very funny to see Hugo Palmer and Roger Varian running in 2-mile races. I don't know who would come out on top. But we can see that the trainer at this distance, he'd only had the 2 runners and neither of them had won. But if we look at the likes of Charlie Fellows, he'd had 19 runners over this 2-mile trip, of which 5 of them had won and another 5 had placed. DTSR is trainer distance type. So this is the trainer's distance and type strike rate. So the horse must have run at the distance and in this type of race. So again, we'll look at Alan King. He'd had 19 runners that had run over this 2-mile trip on the all-weather. It doesn't necessarily have to have been at Newcastle. It could have been at Kempton, Lingfield, Chelmsford, or Wolverhampton. Trainer course and distance strike rate does have to be at this course. So let's have a look at Charlie Fellows. Had 8 runners over this 2-mile trip at Newcastle, of which 1 of them had won and 4 others had placed. This can give you a good idea of when a trainer really likes a certain type of race. Are they very good at sprint trips, maybe at Kempton, or at the long distance races, the 1.5-mile races at Ascot? It's a column that very much gets overlooked, but it's well worth including into your calculations. TGSR is the trainer going strike rate, and this is the record that trainer has when his horses run on this particular going. For this race, the going was standard to slow. And we can see that Hugo Palmer, when his horses ran on the going of standard to slow, had a 15.64% strike rate with 33 winners from 211 runners. This is very interesting for horses, for when the horse runs on going such as heavy. You may find that even on the flat, there are some trainers that their horses generally run much better on the flat, on heavy going on the flat, than other trainers. Obviously, on the all-weather, we know about on the all-weather. In the National Hunt Sphere, we know about Venetia Williams, and there's a couple of other trainers as well that you may be surprised to find out, who have a very good record on soft and heavy going. So this was the trainers' statistics, and why we don't need to go over it for the Jockey and Sire is they're exactly the same. 7-day, 14-day, 28-day, strike rate, course, type, distance type, course and distance, and also the same for the Sire. We don't include the 7, 14 and 28-day record for the Sire because it's not relevant. There is no reason why a Sire's progeny might start winning, whereas a trainer or a jockey could be coming into form, but the Sires, they just don't come into form. It's not like they're going to be better in June than July. It's just not something that actually happens. There are 4 more columns, and we will go over them in the next video. Thanks for listening.